Okay, it's time for our first task. The idea is to practice what we've just learned by rearranging this whole song, basically mashing it up and seeing what we can do with it. So we're going to use everything that I've talked about in the previous videos in terms of editing these events, like moving them, deleting them, splitting, fading, time stretching, using the loop function, anything at all that you can think of to make your own version using all the elements here. Just dragging them around, shortening them, looping them a few times, and you can make a new song out of the elements that you find here. So before we do that, it's important that we save a new version of this, save a copy of this, so that we're not changing the original Twilight Waters session, but we're changing our own version. So if we go up to File, we're going to go to Save As. Now you notice there's a Save New Version. We're going to talk about this later. For now, we're going to use Save As. And then in the same folder that the original one is stored in, this is the Lydian Twilight Waters folder. Remember, this is stored inside of your Studio One folder, and then in Songs, and then in the Lydian folder we created. I'm going to save a copy, but this time I'm going to change the name from Twilight to maybe Morning Waters. That's different. So now I know it's the new version because at the top I can see Morning Waters instead of Twilight. And that means I can do whatever I want to this and I'm not going to affect the original session. And if I ever just totally destroy this and it goes crazy, I can always just go back to the original Twilight Waters session and then push Save As again and start over. So let's give an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say I take this Rhodes track and I'm going to take my multi-tool. And remember, to get the multi-tool working, we need to make sure our tracks are big enough. So I'm going to put my track size to normal. And then using the multi-tool, I will split right at this first hit here and split here. So what this sounds like is this. So I can take this by holding Option or Alt on the PC and dragging it to the beginning. Once I've got it there, I can do the same thing maybe a couple more times. And then I'll grab this next portion and I'll split again. And I'll take these ones and I'll copy them to the start. So now let's put a loop around this and see what we've got. Actually, first, let's delete these jazz drums from the intro like this. And I'm going to take the loop bar at the top and pull it right back to bar 3. And then I'll push the slash key to turn the loop on. And let's hear what we've got. So that's pretty cool. So what I think I'll do is take all the other events in the song and kind of move them out of the way a little bit so that I have some room to work with. I'm going to use the W key to zoom out, and I'm going to click and drag somewhere and grab all the events in the whole song like this. And now I can move them as a unit kind of out of the way to give myself some space over here to work with. Now that I've got that, I'm going to zoom back in with the E key. And I'm going to grab these 4 little chunks I've made, and holding Option or Alt, I'm going to copy them over right next to themselves. And now I'm going to go grab these claps. So here's my claps, and I'm going to click and drag, pull them over so they line up with this new section. And then using the Command key, if we remember, I can take my whole loop and shift it over like this. Now, if I play right now, I'm still only going to hear the Rhodes piano, and that's because I've got it soloed. So let's take that out of solo and push play. Pretty cool. So from the start, then probably the next thing you'd want to do is bring this kick drum in. So why don't we bring this guy over to here, and we can actually shorten these by trimming them just to make them more easy to work with. And now I'll copy these Rhodes sections, these Rhodes events, and the clap using Option again, click and drag underneath the kick, and I'll extend my loop out. And now we can push play again from bar 3. So you can see it's starting to come together. From here, I might take some of the bass part and throw that underneath this, and then I can maybe use this Rhodes part or put the jazz drums in, take some elements out and change it up a little bit. Basically, anything you want to do, just experiment, try anything. Try changing the tempo up and down and seeing what that does. The idea is just to have fun and try out the new controls that we've learned. So we've got a lot of elements here to play with, and we can just stick them in any order we want and stack as many on top of each other as we want and kind of create a new version of this song. So in the end, we want to end up with something that is similar to the original but has your own personal touch to it from the decisions you've made. Once you've got that, remember to go up here and save your work. Now that we've saved a copy with Save As, we can use just the save function. It'll remember that we're trying to save Morning Waters now instead of Twilight Waters or whatever you've called it. So I can just push save, and that'll make sure I don't lose any of the work I've done. Saving is extremely important. I can't tell you how many times I've worked on a song for probably 3 to 6 hours and then forgot to save, and all of a sudden my computer crashes or something goes wrong and the whole thing is lost. Now luckily, Studio One has an autosave function, so even if you did have a problem like that, you can still probably get your session back, but it's still a great idea to save as often as you can. Every time you think about it, just save, 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 save. I'm going to mention that a few more times as we're composing our own music too, just saving, saving, saving. So once again, take all the elements, use everything you've learned so far, and just rearrange them however you want. Try the time stretching, use the loop function, try out your keyboard shortcuts if you can, and just generally try to do anything that looks interesting to you. Good luck.